Rio Grande Valley, New Mexico. 50 miles east of one of the world's largest collections of radio telescopes lies the town of Socorro. This small desert community sits above a pool of magma, a remnant of the area's ancient volcanoes. But on the village's outskirts stands a contemporary work inspired by a more recent seismic event.
It's 15 feet wide, 42 feet tall, painted in vivid colors. It's got the date 1964 written on it.
This roadside mural depicts a police officer and his vehicle under a blanket of stars. But according to investigator Jesus Jr., this painting is actually a tribute to an otherworldly occurrence.
It was a tale so wild, it makes us wonder if we're really not alone in the universe.
April 24th, 1964, Socorro, New Mexico. State Police Sergeant Sam Chavez is almost at the end of his shift when he receives a strange call. His colleague, Sergeant Lonnie Zamora, is requesting backup for a possible car accident outside of town.
Lonnie Zamora was a very serious officer. If he called you for backup, he meant it. It wasn't a joke.
Eager to help his fellow officer, Chavez drives to the scene. But when he arrives, he doesn't find a car crash.
All he found was Lonnie Zamora standing there, looking very upset.
And it seems Zamora has a stunning tale to tell.
It was cylindrical. It was white.
Zamora says he was patrolling traffic just outside of town when he noticed something unusual.
Lonnie was in hot pursuit of somebody speeding when he noticed in the sky a fiery orange streak heading southwest.
Concerned the flare had come from an explosion, he abandoned the car chase and followed its trajectory. The streak arced down to an isolated ravine, and the officer parked his car to get a better look. But when he arrived at the scene, Zamora says what he saw was unlike anything he had ever witnessed.
He said it was an oval-shaped craft of some sort. It was silvery white and had 4 legs holding it up.
And even more shocking, standing by the craft were 2 strange figures.
He thought they were smaller than the average person. They were wearing white outfits.
But before he could approach them,
Did you see it?
the craft disappeared into thin air.
The ship shot straight up, leaving the same orange fiery streak that he noticed before.
In its wake, the figures seemed to have vanished. Zamora finishes his story, leaving Chavez wondering if his colleague is telling the truth. But when the men survey the site, they uncover something mind-boggling.
They'd never seen anything like it before. It truly was out of this world.
It's 1964 in Socorro, New Mexico. Police officer Lonnie Zamora claims to have stumbled upon a bizarre sight. An unusual egg-shaped aircraft manned by 2 small figures wearing white suits. Before the officer can approach them, both the craft and the pair zoom up into the sky. It's an encounter that seems otherworldly. When Chavez and Zamora comb the site for evidence of the unusual encounter, they discover something astonishing.
They found a burned bush, scorched earth, and 4 V-shaped indentations in the ground.
The imprints don't resemble those of any known aircraft. Back at the Socorro Sheriff's Office, Zamora repeats his extraordinary story. When the press catches wind of it, it takes on a life of its own. It seems that Zamora is not the only one to have observed an unusual craft that night. News reports spur 2 other witnesses to come forward with similar accounts.
They described seeing an egg-shaped vehicle, just like what Lonnie described.
The FBI descends on Socorro County to interview Zamora and inspect the scene. As their investigation unfolds, speculation over what happened in the New Mexico desert that night runs wild. Some suggest that the answer lies in the location of the sighting, along the edge of a military base called the White Sands Missile Range.
White Sands Missile Range was one of the world's largest military facilities.
For several months, America's fledgling space program had been working at the remote site to build a craft that could land on the moon.
At the time, they were doing lunar module testing.
It is thought the military used a small helicopter to carry the lunar surveyor around for testing. Together, the helicopter and the module may have resembled an egg-shaped craft, leading some to assume Zamora merely stumbled on a NASA field trial.
Two small individuals could have been engineers analyzing the module in cutting-edge uniforms.
The theory sounds like a reasonable explanation for what Zamora saw, but there is just one problem. Air Force investigators independently conclude there were no lunar surveyors in operation at the time of the sighting. And in its official report, the military classifies the cause of the police officer's sighting as an unknown. What Lonnie Zamora witnessed on the outskirts of town remains a mystery to this day. And this vibrant mural in Socorro, New Mexico, pays tribute to one of the most perplexing UFO reports of all time.